Ladies and gentlemen watching around the world, welcome to the main event presented by TEDx. This talk is scheduled for 5 rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first, the man speaking out of the TEDx red corner. If you haven't figured it out yet, I am a professional ring announcer. I am the guy that introduces the fighters at MMA, that's mixed martial arts or cage fighting events, as well as kickboxing and boxing events. It's a very obscure and a particularly peculiar way for an individual to make a living. In fact, including myself, there are probably no more than 10 people on the planet currently pursuing this as a full-time line of work without the benefit of some other full-time job to fall back on. What I do is risky, rebellious, and frankly quite absurd. Dressed in a tuxedo while introducing 2 individuals with great fanfare, essentially dressed in their underwear as they get ready to beat each other. However, what I am doing means the world to me. I am simultaneously pursuing and fulfilling my dream in life. Now, certainly we've all heard people talk about the pursuit of their dreams. At one time or another, I would imagine just about all of us has had someone directly or indirectly encourage or implore us to follow our dreams. The message is not new. We've all heard it before. We've heard the cliches and the sayings. If you love what you do, you'll never actually work a day in your life. But no matter how many times we hear these things, very few of us ever actually choose to put one foot in front of the other and pursue our dreams and passions in life. Typically, the older we get, the more cynical and realistic we become about these things. Now, certainly, just because a person chooses to pursue his or her dreams in life doesn't mean that everything is going to magically fall into place overnight and turn up sunshine and rainbows. It generally does not work that way. But we can all relate to the fact that if you're a human being taking up space on this earth, breathing in oxygen day in, day out, no matter what you pursue or do in life, or don't pursue in life, there are going to be obstacles and challenges. There are going to be issues and problems. So if you're going to live this life and have issues and problems anyway, and unfortunately we all will and do, you might as well get your money's worth and live your life in pursuit of something that actually matters to you. Now, certainly, I didn't always understand what my dream would, could, or should look like in life. My sister was the salutatorian of her high school class and a college graduate, like basically everyone in my family. My parents are retired school teachers. My late grandmother was a school teacher, as well as a Sunday school teacher. In fact, my in-laws are also retired school teachers. However, in my case, the apple fell very far from the tree. I hated school. In fact, I always did. On the first day of school, many children, 3, 4, 5 years of age typically, suffer from separation anxiety as mom or dad drops them off for the first time and leaves them there. I remember my first day, but I did not suffer from separation anxiety. I do, however, remember being backhanded violently across the face by the reality and disbelief that out of all the places my grandmother could have left me that day, she chose to leave me at a school. However, the years would pass, and I graduated high school. I then I chose to attend 3 institutions of higher learning: Delgado Community College in my hometown of New Orleans, the University of Tennessee, and later the University of Southern Mississippi, aka Southern Miss, which is where I met my wife. Despite my family's rich academic heritage and the fact that I chose to attend not 1, not 2, but 3 institutions of higher learning, if you will, I only managed to graduate from 0 of those schools. 3 colleges, no degree. College dropout. So I bounced around from job to job and city to city. In the early 2000s, my wife and I find ourselves living in Miami, Florida, which happens to be her hometown. My wife sees an ad in the local paper for a vocational institution. another school. It's a broadcasting school, and while I would watch quite a lot of TV and I listened to the radio most every day, being a part of one of these institutions was a bit different, and I wasn't sure about it, but my wife thought that this would be something that would agree with me, something I could and should do, but I wasn't sure. Now, it was more of a hobby and less of a career, but I had some experience as a public address announcer at that point, a PA announcer. I had done this at some colleges and high schools in various cities we had lived in along the way. Basically, I was the in-arena voice, the in-venue voice that you might hear at a sporting event. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the starting lineups. I was that guy. But broadcasting was different, and I wasn't sure about it. But my wife was persistent and insistent, and I had no prospects at the time. I'm living with my in-laws, and I was quite unemployed. So I said, okay. I attended this broadcasting school, and I actually graduated and got a job in the radio industry in Charlotte, North Carolina, as a sports reporter and later as a traffic reporter. 77 northbound, a complete mess right now through South Charlotte because of a serious collision blocking two left lanes near the Woodlawn exit. Traffic backed up across the state line right now with volume building as I speak. South Tryon, South Boulevard, and Park Road will be your alternate routes heading northbound into Uptown this morning. Johnny Biscuits, Power 98 Metro traffic. And yes, I did use the alias Johnny Biscuits, among others. I did not like using my real name. That job was a lot of fun, and I felt like I was good at it, but one day I got laid off. But before that, I heard about an event promoter putting together an event in my area, a mixed martial arts, MMA, or cage fighting event, and I was intrigued. I had been a broadcaster and a PA announcer, but never a ring or cage announcer. This was something different, but for some reason, I thought I could do it. So I put one foot in front of the other, and I created a fake demo tape in my studio at work, and I sent it to the promoter, and the guy hires me. And it goes pretty well, so he hires me again for a second event, and that event goes well. And after the second event, his organization completely goes out of business. But it was okay. Because the bug had bitten me, and I knew that however obscure this ring announcing thing was, and however inexperienced at it that I might have been, it was something I wanted to continue to pursue, and so I did. I contacted promoters in my area, and to my surprise, I got rejected a lot. There was another ring announcer in the area. We'll call him Scott. Scott is still around today. Scott had the work locked up, basically. So when I would contact a promoter myself, I would be told, well, we've got Scott, so we don't need you. But I continued to put one foot in front of the other in pursuit of my dream. Later that year, I find myself back in Miami working an event. When I get a phone call from a number I do not recognize, I answer my phone, and it's the promoter from an event set to take place in Virginia. Previous to this, I caught a break, and I had been given the opportunity to announce an event in Virginia put together by a large mixed martial arts organization, an international organization. Basically, I was hired as the guy who would MC the friends and family portion of the event. I was the undercard announcer, tasked with announcing the fights that were not going to be on television, involving local talent only. But I thought it was a good opportunity, so I took it, and it went pretty well. In fact, I was told I had that same job description for their other events in other cities moving forward. But as is often the case in the fight industry, what I was told did not materialize, and things didn't work out. So I'm frustrated. But again, I'm back in Miami working an event when I get a pivotal phone call. And it turns out to be that promoter from the aforementioned Virginia event. And he says, Mike, are you available to announce an event for us coming up in Moscow, Russia? And I said, well, why, yes, I am. And he says, okay. And I did announce that event. Imagine snipers positioned at the top of the arena, Vladimir Putin sitting on the front row taking a picture with a ring card girl, no less. And 22,000 people jammed into Moscow's Olympic Stadium. It was a grand scene indeed, and one I'll never forget being a part of. As a ring announcer, I've had the opportunity to travel and work from London to Los Angeles and many places beyond and between. From Iceland to Istanbul. From Sofia, Bulgaria to Stockholm, Sweden. I have also on many occasions had the opportunity to announce events in dusty warehouses, high school gyms, and nightclub parking lots. And I have, on many occasions, in fact, many more than I care to recall, changed into a tuxedo inside of a bathroom stall. But it's okay, because I continue to put one foot in front of the other in pursuit of my dream. And I believe because I choose to put one foot in front of the other in furious pursuit of that dream, that my dream makes and continues to make itself available to me. Now, certainly, when a person chooses to follow his or her dream in life, there will be obstacles. Of course there will be. Some of the most common ones come from within, fear and doubt. At the risk of oversimplifying it, you have to be positive to overcome fear and doubt. I used to be an incredibly negative person. I wouldn't like to admit it, but it was true. It was factual. And it took me quite a long time to learn, but I eventually did, that although you certainly can't control all the things that happen to you or take place around you, many of them unfortunately negative in nature, you can always control what happens inside of you, your reactions, your mood, your attitude, and so forth. Being positive makes all the difference in the world. Sounds simple, but it's true. You have to turn it around. Instead of thinking to yourself, how foolish will I look and feel when this doesn't work out for me? What if it's a waste of time? Think and say to yourself, how awesome will this be? And how worth it will it have been when it does work out for me? More common obstacles, well-meaning friends and family members. It doesn't matter how wonderful you believe your dream to be or how eloquently you think you can explain it to someone else, there will always be people who just won't get it. They won't understand no matter what. And it doesn't matter what your dream is. It may be related to a job or a career, or it may be something altogether different. Maybe your dream is to lose 30 pounds, to look better, feel better, be healthier, a better version of yourself, if you will, physically. And you've got that one friend who tells you, what's the use? What's the big deal? And she tells you this as she has her arm elbow deep inside of a bag of gummy bears. Your mother doesn't understand why you want to open a flower shop when everyone in your family is a stockbroker or a physician or a musician or whatever. People in your family and inside your circle of friends don't understand why you're all of a sudden too good to hang around with them in the same places, doing the same things with the same people that you've always done. Why you want to move away to that city instead of staying here in the same small place, perhaps, that everyone in your family has always called home. Why you'd like to do something different. It's okay. Hopefully you can still maintain positive relationships with these so-called well-meaning friends and family members, but understand you're not responsible for their understanding, and they're not responsible for your life, nor can they live your life for you, even if you wanted them to. Another obstacle is this idea, this belief that a person cannot fulfill their dreams and goals in life, their passions, because they've already gone too far in an opposite and alternate direction. You say to yourself, I can't fulfill my dreams because I've already invested too much time, energy, and money into something else in my life. And I cannot do a 180, make a U-turn, do an about-face, and simply start doing something else. Yes, you can. It may not be easy. It probably won't be convenient. Other people may not understand. And frankly, as exciting as it may be at times, it will also be terrifying at times. And that's okay too. There are many days where I say to myself or say to my wife, what in the world am I doing? I'm a ring announcer. Really? But it's okay, because it's my dream, and I continue to put one foot in front of the other in that dream's furious pursuit. And I continue to apprehend my dream. Certainly not all sunshine and roses. Several years ago, I'm working for a large international mixed martial arts organization, huge arenas, bright lights, roaring crowds, international television exposure. It's an awesome experience, and I confidently corner my boss one day, and I say to him, "Would you be interested in pursuing a contract extension with me?" He says yes. Several months later, he sends me an email and says, "Mike, give me a few weeks, and I will ensure that a proposal on a new contract extension is forwarded to you." Several weeks do pass, and I get a phone call from a friend. My friend says, "Mike, I've called to tell you that I've been hired to replace you." And while I did not and do not fault my friend for taking advantage of a wonderful opportunity for himself, I was frustrated, hurt, angry, upset, despondent, depressed, and completely devastated. That client meant everything to me, but I obviously did not mean everything to that client. And I thought my career was over. I thought the dream was completely finished. And after several months of living in a deep, dark hole of frustration, anger, self-pity, and the like, I decided to stand up. And I decided that even though I obviously could not completely control the things that happened to me or around me, no one could make me quit. I could choose to put one foot in front of the other in pursuit of my dream, even though I felt like I had been dragged miles backwards. And so I did. I continued on forward. If you choose to put one foot in front of the other over and over and over again in furious pursuit of your dream, you will look up in the not too distant future in surprise and even in pleasant shock at how far you've come and at what you've been able to accomplish. And it absolutely will have been worth it. My dream is available because I continue to put one foot in front of the other in its pursuit. Your dream is available also. Thank you.